Okay, I was going to type this out, but I thought I'll make a video because I want to practice using some video software, so I thought I'd give it a go. But the Empire versus the United Federation of Planets. In a war, I think you need to consider a lot of factors more than just who's got a big gun. Uh, so I've made a few notes. So economics, the economics of the Empire. From what I can see, it's vast and very industrialized. So I imagine the Empire can churn out some very big ships, very powerful ships, arms and armaments for its military, uh, quite efficiently. But I imagine it's labour intensive and will take a bit of time for certainly something like a Superstar Destroyer or something like a Death Star. But its economics clearly seem to work. They can build big fleets and invade many planets, and so they've got a large military industrial complex, I suppose. Whereas the United Federation of Planets doesn't look anywhere near as industrialized, and I think that's because it's past that point. It doesn't need to have these humongous factories. It does have fleet yards like Utopia Planitia and things like that, but the difference is it doesn't necessarily need to be mining planets and shipping all that material up into space to build anything. And it's because of one thing, which is the energy to matter conversion, the replicator. And with the replicator, you change the ball game completely. It makes Star Wars look positively medieval. With the replicator, it obviously it's going to affect much more than just their economy. It's going to affect your day-to-day life. So the people living in the United Federation planets don't suffer poverty, where in Star Wars they clearly do. They don't have food supply problems or water supply problems. And if you look at Tatooine in Star Wars, they clearly do have problems where they need moisture farmers and things like that. And they're desperately poor and very much under the thumb of the Empire, which isn't the experience of citizens of the Federation. They have very good standards of life. So I think in a war, that's going to be a huge factor. It might actually end up being more important than the weapons and the ships. So the United Federation of Planets and the Empire rubbing side by side, they're having a fight. People in the Empire, I think, are going to want to become Federation citizens. You're going to have rebellion after rebellion after rebellion, and it's something the Empire, I suppose, is getting used to. So on economics, hands down, the Federation wins that. Flat out, it wins it. While the Empire's got a vast territory to exploit, the Federation doesn't need a vast territory to exploit at all. It doesn't need anything of the sort. So government type, that's another important one. There's pros and cons to both. I think the Federation is effectively it's a democracy, and it seems to function very well. There doesn't seem to be protests or riots about it or anything like that, and I suppose that's because their standard of living is so good it almost doesn't matter. Where in the Empire it's a harsh dictatorship run by one person, which can be very effective. Certainly in a war can be very effective. It can also go incredibly badly if that person is effectively infallible and you're not allowed to speak up against them. And I don't think Emperor Palpatine would tolerate too much speaking against him. You might have massive strategical problems if he gets something wrong. No one's willing to tell him, and but I won't say there's a winner in government. I think with dictatorship, it can depend who's in charge. With a democracy, can you get things done? And I think on both counts, the Empire clearly can get things done. The Federation can clearly get things done. So I think they kind of draw there. On the social structure, though, as I mentioned before, people in the Federation seem to have very good quality of life, very happy. People in the Empire, not so much. So the Federation is going to win on that one. Territory. At the start of this war, the Empire is clearly the bigger nation. I don't want to use that word with space. I don't know why, but I don't. But the Empire is vastly bigger than the United Federation of Planets, which has pros and cons. The pros are you've got this big area to draw your resources from, but as I said, that's not really a pro in this one. The Federation doesn't need it. The con is you've got a huge area to defend. You can start getting stretched quite thin. So in a way, the Federation might do a bit better because it's smaller, but I think that's debatable. Speed is an important tactical thing here, and I'm going to give it to the Empire because when you see the films, while they might say we'll go to light speed, they're clearly going faster than light speed. They cross the galaxy left, right, and centre. In the Empire Strikes Back, the rebels hide far, far outside the galaxy. You can see it in the window. It's not taking up the whole window space. They're far away. So the Empire wins in speed with the Federation when Voyager's stuck on the other side of the galaxy, and it's 78 years, I think, pulling that out of my head a bit. To get back home, that's what it's going to take on warp speed. I think hands down Star Wars wins on speed. Another very important thing to your tactical advantage, and I think it might be more important than speed, is your sensors. Now in Star Wars, sensors seem to be terrible, absolutely abysmal. When the Millennium Falcon's on the back of the Star Destroyer and it drifts off with all the garbage and the Star Destroyer zooms off. One of the main capital ships of the Empire can't detect this ship just off the bridge. Let alone as they get further and further away, they still can't detect it, and the Millennium Falcon's fine. We also see examples when the Millennium Falcons come towards the Death Star and they're not sure if it's a moon or a star base, and I think today we'd be able to work that out at quite a distance. We'd be able to get the infrared heat signature from it, and we'd be able to... Star Wars terrible with their sensors. Star Trek, however, amazing. They can detect 12 particles of hydrogen per square meter of space, cubed meter I should say, of space, or whatever. The sensors in Star Trek are great. They can detect ships coming in from warp speed dozens of light years away. Star Trek's going to win on the sensors, and I think that's actually a bigger advantage than having better speed, because the Empire's coming. The Federation are going to have to act very, very quickly to deal with an Imperial fleet coming in, but they can detect them from very, very far away. Now, but because of the speed, the Empire might still get in and be able to surprise them a bit. But reverse it, the Federation going at the Empire's not going to know they're coming until they're already there. And then they're going to have problems because targeting. In Star Wars, it seems to be guys on big guns firing away, and it looked cool. One of the reasons I love Battlestar Galactica is it's also manual, and I like that spin on sci-fi. I think that's fun. But if you're in a fight, you want a fast computer to be able to pinpoint targets from thousands of miles away, and Star Trek can do this. Star Trek is going to win. Your X-Wings and TIE Fighters, well, I suppose TIE Fighters coming in at the Enterprise or something, it's going to be nothing. They're not going to miss, really. I'd be surprised if they missed. And obviously when it comes to capital ships slugging it out at each other, being able to target well is going to win. Weapon strength, I'm not sure on. I think we could debate that. It seems a bit inconsistent in both shows about what weapons do, whether they blow up a little R2 unit on the back of an X-Wing or vaporize an asteroid. There seems to be an inconsistency. So obviously you could debate that quite a lot, I think. Transportation. Obviously you've got your ships. If Star Wars want to go anywhere, they get in a smaller ship, they deploy, they go down to a planet, whatever. Obviously you can do that in Star Trek, but there's also teleportation. And teleportation is a huge advantage. I'm presuming it can't go through Star Wars shields like it can't go through Star Trek shields, but you're having a slugging match. As soon as shield's down, don't teleport an elite. crew into the Star Destroyer to shoot everyone up. Just teleport a torpedo, put it straight in the reactor, done. Or just teleport their reactor out the ship. It's easy. Shields, I think Star Trek are going to win. It is a bit of a guess, but in Star Wars, and this is one of the most obvious ones for me, in Star Wars, you want to take down a Star Destroyer shields, you shoot the shield generators, which are nicely on show and at the top of the ship, nice and easy to hit. Star Trek's it's not that simple. It's a lot tougher in Star Trek to take shields down, I think, than it is in Star Wars. Obviously, a lot of that could come back to, well, whose weapons are better, and so I'll leave that a bit. The Force, obviously, Star Wars wins that. I don't see anyone in Star Trek using it. Maybe with a Sith on a Star Destroyer, you could halt a Federation ship coming at him, and next thing, the Federation ship's helpless. He might be able to just like blow up the captain's brain or whatever. So that's a good advantage, but there's not many of them. I mean, Star Wars makes a point about how rare it is to find Force users, let alone powerful ones who could be stopping starships and stuff like that. So while it is a good advantage, I don't think it's enough of an advantage to actually make the difference in a war. In a big fleet battle, it's not going to be enough. I might be able to stop one ship, but the 3 other ships are going to come in and shoot. I don't think Force users are. They might have individual victories, but I don't think they're going to be enough of an advantage to spin a war here. So, who would win? I'm going to give it to Star Trek. I'm going to give it to the Federation for mostly their sensors and their targeting ability. Star Trek are hands down the better at it, and I think when it comes to the fight, that's going to make a hell of a difference. Also, the economic factors are going to make a massive difference. The biggest problem I think the Federation would have is because of their limited speed and the size of the Empire. I think they'd win, but it would take a very long time to truly get everywhere and do it. So ultimately, the Empire's probably going to survive. They'll probably work out some sort of peace deal long before the whole Empire has been taken over by the Federation. But I think the Empire is actually going to suffer more from their own population rebelling and wanting to join the Federation for their standards of life and the general well-being and medical care and all of these things. Then they'll suffer more from that than they'll suffer from an actual conflict. So I think the Federation wins in multiple ways, and the Empire really, really struggles. I hope that's helped anyone who's on the bench. I know with topics of Star Wars versus Star Trek, no one ever really wins. We all keep arguing until Star Trek wins. But as far as I can see, going into in-depth what their tech does, who's got the better tech, society, the lot, Star Trek is going to win. That's it. That's all I can say on the matter, really. I hope this has helped, and comment, I suppose.